This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
August is underway and it is National Black Business Month, celebrating black entrepreneurs and their contributions to the economy. It is a topic that tracks closely to the work we do year-round on business equity and opportunities. Hi, I'm Scott Sander. Each week we introduce you to people who've taken that first step toward business ownership. They tell us their stories, how they got started in business, gained access to capital, how they run their business day to day. We also have regular contributors who cover the week in business, and experts at managing money who discuss accounting and bookkeeping. We focus on a different industry every week and wrap things up with a success story. We're here with a new show every week on Wish TV and live streaming at wishtv.com. We post each of our 7 weekly segments from past shows on our website. It's BEOshow.com. Watch and share those. While you're there, listen to our Business Equity and Opportunities podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network and subscribe to our weekly newsletter that our team updates every Tuesday. Let's get to the business of business. Here's what's on today's Business Equity and Opportunities. We'll look at how to go from idea all the way to product. We take a walk down Indiana Avenue to find the beginnings of black business in Indiana. Our friend Ty Shea is back to explain the cost of goods. We find some new mentoring software created right here in Indianapolis. We have tips on branding and marketing for black business owners. Plus, we visit the first black-owned, woman-owned plant shop in Indianapolis for our success story. We are getting started with Sharon Harvey, leader at the Small Business Administration, in the next installment of a series of conversations about SBA certified contracting. Today, Sharon shares information about the development programs the administration offers.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
We've covered why contracting, we've covered certification, and our third big piece is our 8A, which is a 9-year training and development program. Within this 8A program, you have to have been in business for 3 years. You have to be 51% owned and controlled owner. You have to be involved in the day-to-day operations. This is the pride and joy of the federal government. This is our 9-year program. We have our government set-asides. We want to make sure that we are working with our small businesses so that they can get in, understand their non-A or their regular commercial business, and actually be able to control and maintain their business for their federal government. So it's about how do you maintain working with your regular businesses, your customers that you already have, and then how do you now start working with the big conglomerate of the federal government. So that's what we want to help you to understand in this 9-year process. You come in first 3-4 years, we're helping you to transition. You're working your non-8A clients, and then of course we're teaching you how to understand solicitations and awards, and what is the RFP, which is a request for proposal, what is the RFI, request for information, what is the RFQ, request for quote, understanding where to find these contracts at, because of course all of them, as I mentioned on some of the other segments, are not on sam.gov. Some of them are just regular credit card acquisitions that could be $25,000 or less. Some of them are unsolicited, some of them are advertised, and understanding where that is. So that's a big process, because one of the big things that people think is, I'm certified, now I'm gonna get rich. Now the floodgates are gonna open, and my BOS at the SBA is gonna open up her drawer and she's gonna say, here you go, here are the contracts. But that doesn't work. You have to do the work. We talked about your capability statement. You have to send that to procurement officers. You have to make the relationships. We can tell you who they are, where they're at. Sometimes you may have to go outside of the state of Indiana to go where these agencies are, because all federal agencies are not in the state of Indiana. So you may have to go and build a relationship somewhere else. But the relationships and the marketing is key to being successful in the 8A program. The 8A program, so once you're in the program, and as I said, you go year 1 through 4, then you start building that mix and you're on your way, and you're now getting some good contracts. You're developing work, and most of them, so years 8 or 9, everyone starts to get sad because their 8A work is over. But the thing about it is that we've prepared you in that 9-year process to be able to maintain a mix, understand how the federal procurement process works, and you have the certifications, and you have the capability and the capacity to continue to build your small business through certifications and through government work. And that is one of the goals of the SBA, as we've helped you to start, and we've actually now starting to help you to grow. So that's one of our missions, is to help you to make sure that you get through all the navigation of federal contracting and what it looks like. But that's our program for our 8A business development program, is to help you to grow your business. And as I said, this is a 9-year, and the big thing is it's one time. So we want to make sure when you go through the trouble to fill out the application, that it's the right time for you and your small business, because you get one shot and one shot only. So, welcome. Give us a call. We'll be glad to go through the application process with you, but we want to make sure that as you enter this 9-year journey, that it is the right one for you and it is successful for you. So we want to make sure, continue to reach out to the SBA, because as you continue to grow and you continue to make money and to prosper, all of our services are free as we're helping you through this journey.
Getting started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
If you'd like more information about the development programs through the Small Business Administration, we have links on our website. It is beoshow.com. Follow the QR code on your screen, possibly help you get started. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities and Accessing Capital. Big step in developing things. 5 partners in Indianapolis developed an idea for a new product aimed at the heat of summer. It's called the Quick Hit Rejuvenator, or QHR. It's essentially a hands-free device that keeps you hydrated while working, jogging, exercising. We met with 2 of the partners. They shared the trials of taking a new product from idea to reality.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Access to capital.
Darvae Spells is the CEO. Duwan Spells is the CMO of Aqua Show LLC, maker of the Quick Hit Rejuvenator.
I had wound up having this idea since 2006, 17 years ago, of a hydration device that goes into some shoulder pads. I wound up getting some help from my friends and family, and we all came together on one team and created this company called Aqua Show, and it led it up to a hydration device as a backpack. I had incorporated a prototype also out of some shoulder pads. I used a whoopee cushion. I stuffed that in the back of the shoulder pads and ran the straw up to the front. And then I had a button to push the straw pop out to get something to drink. However, that didn't work because it was close to other hydration devices that's online. So that was a challenge. But I had an extra chance to recreate my ideal, and actually it was better than just the shoulder pads. So this became something more for everyone to use.
Once we have actually, went to product development, we end up getting product in-house now. So now that we have product, we're starting to go to different avenues, different platforms, different companies, different media, social media and actual media to actually start to sell our product. So we have product now, we're in the process of selling it. So we're just trying to find the right avenue to sell our product, because our product is not just for athletes, it's for everybody, and that's how we created it. We created it for everybody to be able to use this product to stay hydrated and rejuvenated at all times. So basically, this product right here, we have a hydration device called the QHR. The QHR is consisted of not one, but 2 reservoirs. These reservoirs are dishwasher safe. You could just throw them in the dishwasher when you had a beverage, actually, and you have a tube right here to allow the liquid to come through. You have an open and closed valve to keep it the liquid flowing. You have a suction bite where it doesn't drip. So the process basically is, once you got the liquid in, you can just have your open and closed valve open, and you can just get you something to drink. Now this product right here is, like I said, 2.5 pounds basically. It has a storage pocket right here to put in your valuables, your phone, your wallet, your keys, or whatever it is. And it's actually, like I said, 2.5 pounds, and it's just something that keeps you hydrated. The maximum amount of liquid that you can put in here is 30 ounces, 15 ounces on each side. So basically, and it's not very heavy at all, so it won't weigh you down, it's not uncomfortable. This is adjustable, it's drip-free, and the most important thing that we like to say is that it's hands-free. Our device is designed for ages 10 and up, and this is not just for athletes. This is for everyone, whether you're fishing, whether you're hunting, whether you're doing construction work outside, whether you're just taking a walk with your family and kids. This device is for everybody because we wanted people to stay hydrated, especially during these hot summer days and all over. You know, people are, dying of heat strokes and other things. So we just want to keep people hydrated without carrying a water bottle or any other type of bottles, basically. So we just want to keep people hydrated and so they can enjoy, something to drink at all times.
That's very important, because when you really hot and stuff, and even if you're on the football field or any field, you can get electrolytes and H2O to keep you more rejuvenated. Also, this is good for the kids if they playing any sports. They don't have to wait on the coach to tell them to get them something to drink. They have it right there on them. Other devices is big and bulky, hard to clean. I mean, we get that a lot because ours is dishwasher safe. This is very easy to clean. So the other hydration devices, they get molded. They in some kind of like plastic bag or whatever. Ours isn't, and it's sturdy and durable. We stepped on these things doing testing and banged it against the wall, and it don't crack, bust, or leak. Just to help someone else, every year a kid dies from dehydration, every year. So this is big to me that I can save some kid's life or anybody's life. So this is what excites me, just to help someone else out.
If you'd like to learn more about Aqua Show and the QHR, links are on our website, BEOshow.com. Click the QR code on your screen, it'll take you right there. A little bit later, Ty Shea on the cost of goods. First, though, a look at this week in business. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. It is time to talk about the week in business. This time, the start of National Black Business Month. Good opportunity to take a step back in time.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. This week in business.
Sampson Levingston is a well-known lover of Indiana history. He takes us on a walk and talk tour of Indiana Avenue, widely seen as the birthplace of black-owned businesses in Indianapolis.
It's 9 lanes of traffic that you have to cross to get from one side of Indiana Avenue to the other. And this was a very vibrant business district, and it doesn't quite feel that way. And as our city is falling in love with the automobile, we've started to cater to that. But you can really see it here along Indiana Avenue with the 9 lanes that bring you onto the interstate. But when you do slow down, you'll see an example of what some of these black businesses and spaces may look like. Because right behind me is this jazz sculpture that's been here since 1995. And so most people like, and if you ain't never seen it, that's okay, because most people are driving. It's a car city. You can obviously tell they don't want you walking around here too much. But what drove a lot of this business was foot traffic, walkability, walkable neighborhoods, walking to jazz clubs, walking to doctor's offices, walking to different churches and schools and things that just made a neighborhood a neighborhood. And so as we've lost that walkability along Indiana Avenue, we've lost a little bit of that business feel. But there's still a few things that give us a reminder of what used to be here. It represents so much more, you know, than just Walker Theater. It represents like this whole district, this whole area, all this history that's here. And it's the last of it that we kind of get to see. But it does let you know, like, there has to be more here. And, you know, there's factors like IEPUI and the interstate and the hospitals that lead to us not being able to see it so easily. But the fact that that is still there, which we're so lucky, we'll move this way, lets everybody know something had to be happening right here, right? Like, huge theater named after Madam C.J. Walker, you know, our first self-made woman millionaire. So this is what we're talking about when we say the Avenue. Like, we're talking about this sign right here. And notice, like, we're in the Miles Square now, but it's not, it don't feel like we're walking through Miles Square. So don't everybody have time to read this. When you do and you slow down, you're like, okay, I'm where he says that we are. And by the 1890s, it established a vibrant social, commercial, and economic community along the Avenue. And so many times, you know, you can associate the Avenue and with a lot of firsts. It's hard to say where the first black business would be at in Indianapolis, but you can know that a bunch of them collected up over here, just making sense. Businesses in your neighborhood that you can patronize and that want you in the place. Because during a time as a city, we get segregated, we split ourselves into two. Businesses actively don't want you there. So it's a big deal to have businesses that want you, and then also you want to go there. So like, welcome to Indiana Avenue. One of my favorite businesses to highlight is the Indianapolis Recorder, our city's black newspaper, fourth oldest black newspaper still publishing in the United States today. And I'll show you a little remnants while we're here on the 500 block of what this neighborhood would have felt like here. And it wouldn't have been all these parking lots, you know, it would have been so much more. Once you step in here, look at the streets, streetcar rails, brick streets, and then you see at least 100 black people, right? And they're working for the Indianapolis Recorder. When we walk outside, we'll see that we're in the same building, one of the last buildings that's left of Indiana Avenue. Like I say, we feel those parking lots and that heat of the asphalt when we're out there, but it wasn't always that way. We would have felt some natural shade that a city is gonna provide. If you look at this photo of the Indianapolis Recorder, you'll see the same top of the building. I'll show you this when we go outside. Because like, pay attention to like the circles that are here. But one thing that's cool is the hotel that's above on the second floor, because people are gonna need places to stay, all right? It's not just about places to go shop, spend some money, make some money, and hotels are businesses too, right? And so as I bring this back out here, I'll talk about another black business started in New York that made its way all the way to the great Hoosier capital, Indianapolis, Indiana. With the group and talking about black business, because there's so many black businesses that you can highlight, especially when you're talking about Indiana Avenue, okay? And so every parking space that you see there, you could probably go look at our archives and you could name a business for every single one over time throughout the years, you know, that would have sat in these spots, okay? But once we get to the middle part here, you'll see this address, 510 Indiana Avenue. Remember I told you guys that we'll get outside, I'll show you guys we're in the same building. You see the circles right there on the top, like notice that, notice those circles that are above there. That'd be a good way for us to see that we're still in the same space, even the bricks in the building. This is like the original facade of the building. You can see that with the bricks here. Moving on the 500 block of Indiana Avenue. Right here, talking about the Recorder, we just looked, saw those circles. I said, I got a lot of photos. Love to show this one. Shout out to the Recorder, Indiana Historical Society. But then we're looking and we see advertisements from the Recorder. We see businesses, not just any businesses, these are black businesses on the Avenue. We see the address 501, so we're thinking 503 is probably right there. We see 510. 510's right here. And so in talking about 510, it's not just the recorder that's gonna bring you there in the 1950s. It's not just me, Sampson, the walking tall guy, that's gonna bring you here in 2023. The Negro Motorist Green Book may bring you right here in 1940, okay? And African Americans use this to travel all across the country, this Green Book. And so like I said, it started in New York and it makes its way here to Indianapolis. And so I love showing people that right where we are, all right, you see these hotels, tourist homes, and you see taverns, places to eat, restaurants. 510 Indiana Avenue, 503 Indiana Avenue, 510. So right where we are, like, and you see Indiana Avenue, West Street, California Street, West Street, California Street, Indiana Avenue. Like, that's all this way. That's all right here. So we think of the avenue as just being the avenue, but think about how much bigger of a neighborhood it's going to have to be, and how much business is going to be going on in a district like this, and how it's needed, right? Because you can't just willy-nilly go any shop that you want to, right? There's people that could want to like kill you. It's like, it's real problems going on. So it's like to have a space like this in Indianapolis, it's phenomenal. And almost every big city in the country had one like Indiana Avenue. But you know, I'm an Indiana guy through and through, so I gotta think this one right here was the best of the best.
Sampson Levingston loves to share his insights about Indiana history. We have information about how you can contact him through our website. If your business has an event you'd like us to mention on our show, send us an email 3 weeks in advance, beo@wishtv.com. Coming up later, software that can help connect your employees to mentors and more. One company has it now and is bringing it to market. Before that, Ty Shea on accounting and bookkeeping. Stay with us.
This Week in Business is made possible by InnoPower. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
It is time on Business, Equity, and Opportunities to talk a little accounting and bookkeeping with one of our longtime contributors and one of the bosses here at Circle City Broadcasting, CFO Ty Shea. Good morning, sir. You've given us a great number of sort of back-to-basic feel segments in the recent weeks. Let's do that again today. First topic, goods sold. The cost of goods sold sounds like a pretty self-evident explanation, but there's a lot more to it than that in terms of minding the dollars and cents. When you hear that phrase, what do you think of?
Sure. So cost of goods sold typically applies to businesses that either produce goods, often maybe not so much involved in, say, service industries, but think about like a manufacturer, right? They have raw materials that they use and create a product of some kind. And so it's really important for construction companies, manufacturing companies, things like that, to understand basically the cost of the inputs, the cost of what the direct cost that it takes to produce the materials that ultimately result in that end product. And certainly managing not only the cost of those materials and the cost to produce that product, but also the timing of when you get those materials and making sure you have enough materials without being overstocked, right? Because you don't want to tie up all your cash in inventory and raw materials that are just sitting on your company floor waiting to be produced. And so there's a cost of goods sold is a really important metric for manufacturing and construction and other companies that produce a good. And obviously, in addition to minding the timing, you're also minding your margin and making sure, okay, if it costs me 90 cents to produce this good and I'm selling it for 95 cents, are you okay with, or can you live off of that 5 cents, right? Or do you really need to sell it for $2? Can you sell it for $2? and kind of have a better margin, or often, which is often the case, you need to find out how to produce it for less.
Yeah.
Because the market won't allow you to sell it for $2. You're going to have to sell it for $1. You better find a way to produce it. That cost of goods sold maybe has to be more like 60 cents and not 90 cents. And so, go ahead.
It brings to mind the question of, is it so simple as, let's say we're making birdhouses, the cost of the wood, the cost of the nails, the cost of the paint, or is your time, if you do any marketing, things like that, is that also cost of goods sold?
Yeah, typically labor will be included in cost of goods sold. Often marketing it depends. It often isn't included in there. That's usually considered an operating expense. So, but yeah, labor, the time that you pay your employees, your construction crews, the folks on the assembly floor that put together a product, those absolutely are included in cost of goods sold.
All right, so as we do this, is there a danger in underestimating or overestimating these? If you're just too quick to say, well, again, this wood, these nails, and this paint cost me this much, if we're not factoring in our manpower hours and things of that nature, is there a danger that at the end then of the cycle, you don't have the right numbers because you've not accounted for everything that's actually going into that product?
I mean, just imagine you're quoting a job, even if like you're a small subcontractor for somebody's house, and you fail to account for all the expenses that go into it, and how many people hours go into it, and the materials and things like that, and you way under quote to the customer, and you come in underwater on a project, yeah, that's a big problem. And so a savvy business person, a lot of times folks that hang out their shingle, they kind of come up through that trade or whatever, and know that at the outset. Ideally, you do want to know that at the outset, but it's certainly, if you get burned one time, 2 times, you'll figure it out pretty quickly, I imagine. Otherwise, you won't be in business too long.
Well, some of our best conversations have been when, yes, you explain the accounting and bookkeeping principle, but then make sure we understand how it affects the bottom line. And again, that idea that you started with of, so what's your margin? Can you live at that margin? If you sell 2 million of these things, probably. If you sell 10 of these things, probably not. So super important part of the equation. So Ty, thanks for, as always, the wisdom in our accounting and bookkeeping.
Sure. Thanks, Scott.
You can see all of Ty's accounting and bookkeeping segments on our website, beoshow.com. Just scan the QR code that's on your screen now. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter. Our team updates it every Tuesday. Subscribe to the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast so you can listen to our contributors on your schedule. Up next, an entrepreneur in Indianapolis introduces us to a new online mentoring program. That's when Business Equity and Opportunities continues. Sunday morning, you're watching Business Equity and Opportunities. Thank you. Time to talk about running your business day to day. Today's focus is a company that makes software that can match mentors and mentees based on topics and skills, schedule and track meetings, provide insights to help you stay on track with your goals. Allison Martin is the founder of Engage Mentoring, based in Indianapolis.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
I started the company because I wanted to construct a mentoring program that was actually community-based. And at the time, we researched platforms that were out there to support such an endeavor and didn't find what we were looking for. So I actually contracted a developer to create a platform that allowed people to match to mentors on the basis of topics they wanted to learn more about, and realized it had amazing implications when you look at it through the workplace. And so what we do at our core is we work with companies of all sizes to really help them develop their people affordably, efficiently, and measurably at scale. And so if you think about how you meet the needs of your employees at all levels, developmentally, this is a powerful way to do it, again, efficiently and affordably. We've been doing this work for a while, and we found that a lot of times the C-level executives who were signing up for our program, they were signing up to be mentors only, expecting that everyone was going to come to them looking to have all the answers. And that's the irony. The higher you go, the more critical mentoring becomes, and the harder it is sometimes to access. And so in the spirit of that, we realized that having a mentoring program specifically for C-level executives to make those connections was really an incredible opportunity, and one that was really needed. And so we're really excited about that program. Mentoring is so important for a multitude of reasons. So first and foremost, when we hear mentoring, we think about the relationship aspect, and certainly that is present. And that's the really exciting implications, and why mentoring can be so impactful for people is that they have that core relationship with someone who cares about their development. But even further, mentoring is actually a powerfully efficient way to teach people. And so learning happens. It's a powerful way to really shortcut learning. And so at scale, a mentoring program can really aid in the development and really meeting people where they are. And so mentoring is not only a way to develop a relationship, but a way to learn really, really quickly. Just to reach out to us, we'd love to understand what you're currently doing to develop employees. There are usually some things that will tell you that you need to invest more in your people, and that's whether or not you're retaining them, or how productive your employees are, or if they have the necessary skills. The top of mind concern that most CEOs have is if they've ever had the experience of promoting someone into a role and finding out they lack the necessary skills. That's a very costly mistake that directly impacts the bottom line. And so we're here to ensure that that doesn't happen, and that employers have a pipeline of available talent, and that we're developing leaders at all levels. Mentoring is a passion of mine. I literally would not be here today if it weren't for incredible mentors who poured into me. And so it's been really a calling, and in each iteration we've evolved the program, and the feedback that we're getting, we're so proud of the fact that we have an NPS score, which is a Net Promoter Score of 82. So our participants are really benefiting from that. 80, by the way, is considered world class. And so I'm just really passionate about the delivery of the program, and also the implications, particularly when you look through the lens of diverse talent, and wanting to ensure that everyone has access to relationships, and that we're creating environments that are conducive to everyone having the opportunity to be successful. We are actually scaling our programming into new cities. So right now I'm working in St. Louis, Boston, and Houston to develop the C-suite exchange programs there. And so that's been really exciting. So we're hiring, we're opening offices, and we're engaging executives in the program. So if I look in the crystal ball, I will tell you that employees today, they're asking different questions. As they're evaluating who they want to go work for, they're asking really great questions about, am I going to feel developed? Am I going to see a path? And what types of benefits are going to help me develop further? And more so than ever before, employers are going to have to rise to that occasion, and build environments that ensure that everyone receives access to relationships, and that they feel opportunities to develop themselves.
To learn more about Engage Mentoring and whether it might be able to help you run your business day to day, head to BEOshow.com, or just scan the QR code on your screen. Coming up later, we tell the success story of the first Black-owned, woman-owned plant shop in Indianapolis. First, though, branding and marketing for minority-owned businesses. Stay right here. Time to focus on an industry here on Business Equity and Opportunities. Denise Hurd is the president of Hurd Strategies, a company that can help your organization or business connect with underrepresented mainstream audiences.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
Hurd Strategies is a full-service branding, marketing, and public relations firm, and we are a minority and women-owned business headquartered in Indianapolis. And what I really love about the work that we do is that we are often given really complex communication problems that people need to have solved. And we have been able to really develop common sense solutions to effectively solve those complex problems. So that's really what I really love about the work that we do, and the kind of niche that we've been able to place ourselves within. There's so many things that you have to think about when you're getting started, or even as you begin to scale. one thing that is really critical is your marketing. You know, how will people find you? Who are your customers? Because when you think about it, when you're first starting out, you're prone to say, well, everyone's my customer. Well, you don't have the capacity to work with everybody and service everyone effectively. And so it's really making sure you sit down and you really assess, who is my customer and who can I effectively provide quality service for? You know, the other thing where a firm like ours comes into play is helping you not only with your marketing, but deciding what sort of pricing do you need to have. Based upon how you market, that's going to grow your business. And so growing your business, you need to make money, because we go into business to make money, otherwise it's a hobby. So we need to understand how to market ourselves so we know where our price points need to be in order to be successful on the financial side. So it's just so important to be aware. Also, being aware of your marketing helps you keep the finger on the pulse of how you are being perceived in the public and how your product and service is being received, and also keeps you in tune with your competitors as well. For minority-owned businesses, there are a lot of obstacles that we face, you know, access to capital, finding mentors that look like you, that can help you. That was one of the reasons why I've created my company. When I decided that I wanted to start this communications company, I couldn't find anyone that looked like me to mentor me. And that was very, very frustrating for me. So I knew then, early on with Herd Strategies, that I wanted to make sure that as we evolved, we were able to help other business owners that were in this same sector as well, but just business owners across the board. So I think, like I said, access to capital, mentorships, I think also finding business. You know, it takes a while sometimes for us to be trusted, for people to feel as though we have the skill set or even the capacity to do the work that's, you know, out there. You know, people do business with people that they know. And a lot of times we're not at the table or in certain circles for individuals to get to know us. But that's when we have to take the initiative to shift that tide and make sure that, you know, while you may not know me, you know of me. You know, and which is very, very important. So I think those are many factors that impact us as Black business owners as we try and grow and evolve our businesses. You know, will it ever be enough? Are we doing better? I don't think we can say either way, because we've only been at this from a concentrated effort in a more outward state for several years. But the damage that has occurred extends longer than that. So I don't know if I can say, truthfully say, as a business owner, that things are better for me or things are worse for me. Yes, we're still getting business. Yes, but am I just getting it because I'm a minority? Or are you bringing me to the table because you know in your heart, I have the skill set to do this work? You know, there's still a lot of tokenism that exists also. And so until we are able to discern the intentionality of the organization when they come with me leading with supplier diversity, I don't think we'll ever be able to answer that question right now, because that was your lead-in. You know, not saying I called you because you were qualified. I called you because of the work you did on that project or this project. You know, I'm calling you because we have numbers and we're committed. Well, you should be. You know, you shouldn't have to tell me you're committed to supplier diversity. That should be a given. You know, so until you can stop leading with that, I think it'll be hard for us to determine success rates where that is concerned.
If you'd like to learn more about Herd Strategies and whether it can help your business, the link is at BEOshow.com. Quicker ways just to scan the QR code that's on your screen. Feel free to share the segments with friends or business partners through Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, email. Use the buttons that are just below the video. When we return, we belly up to the Botanical Bar. It is our success story. Stay with us. Time for a favorite segment on business equity and opportunities, a daily dose of inspiration in our success story. This week, we take you to the first Black and woman-owned plant shop in Indianapolis called the Botanical Bar. Downtown Indianapolis specializes in creating custom plant designs for homes, offices, restaurants, boutiques, and more.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities Success Story.
Victoria Beatty owns the Botanical Bar.
So during the pandemic, like most people, we were at home, we were just bored, and I grew up around houseplants. My grandmother was a florist. So during the pandemic, I was really able to sit still, and I was like, I was seeing people with their plants, and my mom had gave me a few cuttings, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, so I really got into it. And then I was telling my best friend, I really think this could be like a really fun business, like a hobby. And so we started talking about it, coming up with the name. And then I started visiting other plant shops, and I noticed there were no other Black-owned plant shops in the city. And I was like, okay, we'll see. So I would start doing pop-up shops, going to farmers markets. And then I met someone who owned a retail shop in Bottle Works called Good Neighbor. And she was like, come and do a pop-up at my shop over the weekend. I'm like, okay, great. Did that, and I did the pop-up for over a year. So I had stuff in her shop for over a year, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing, and I decided to open up my own shop a little over a year ago. So when people come into the Botanical Bar, they should expect, one, good music, good art, and also just a variety of houseplants. We specialize in more so like easy to care houseplants. We don't really have a lot of rare plants, because a lot of folks who are coming into us are usually first-time plant parents, and so we want to make sure that they can get the things that they need at an affordable cost. So we really stick to the basics in this shop. But we also focus on other products like soil and pots and tote bags and plant care spray, like all the things that you need to take care of your plants, as well as other gifts. So we have cards and coloring books as well that are also made by other women of color. And so we really focus on also partnering with other women who own businesses. So a majority of our items in here outside of the plants are also owned by women-owned businesses. Yeah, we have a lot of pet parents as well. So we always have folks coming in here asking about plants that are going to be good for their pets. So we also mark all of our plants that are pet friendly. So we mark them with a paw print to ensure that if you're coming in shopping for a certain type of plant, that you can assure that this is safe for your home, as well as your pet, and also your babies or anyone. They can be toxic if ingested by humans as well as pets, but we know pets can get into things, and so we make sure those are indicated pretty easily. Open up a store is really challenging, especially when you have, the state of Amazon and where you can get things like right away. And so also cost, I think people don't understand how much things actually cost, especially when you are a small business. If you go to another, big brand store, they're buying millions of items at once, and so that's why they can sell something for $2, and it's probably not made ethically at all. So a lot of those things were new for me as a consumer too. Like I used to always shop and be like, I just want something inexpensive, not realizing how much it really costs me. And so now I'm really mindful of that, and also even more mindful of how I support other businesses as a business owner. So that was really, eye-opening for me. And also just the support. I was surprised. I didn't really know how, the community would take the shop or me. And so I was really surprised and overwhelmed at the amount of support that we received from the community. They come in, I have repeat customers, I have a lot of loyal customers, I have a lot of new friends that I just met because they come into the store all the time. And so it's just been really a great treat. And so that's what's surprising for me, because you never know, they say build it, they will come, but sometimes it doesn't always, it's not always the case. And so that was really great. But it's challenging, things always come up. There's always something, there's customers here, an event here, construction happening, or the city is changing, so you have to adjust. And so just trying to keep up with trends, there's always a new social media platform to keep up with. So all of those things are things that I had to be prepared for as I was navigating opening the store. But your day-to-day as an entrepreneur, just if you had a job, no day is the same. There's always going to be something. It's kind of like your life as an entrepreneur. So those were some of the things I was surprised at. But I'm used to work under pressure, so it was exciting for me at times. But it was good. It's a good learning experience, and I have more of appreciation for folks who have owned businesses for a very long time because it is, a challenge, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of commitment to want to be a local business because, when you have to compete with big brands, there's really no competition. It's just people really being committed to wanting to support you. Yeah, we actually started off online before I had the store. My website has developed over time, but we always was online or doing pop-up shops. And so I did a lot of deliveries and online sales prior to opening the store. But as people are wanting more convenience, I have a marketing background, so having a really nice website was always important for me, even if I was just a local business. I wanted people to look at my website and see, like, we didn't know where she was from. Maybe she was from New York, or maybe, it was a big business, and not knowing that I'm just a small little shop in Indianapolis. Everyone looks at my website and is always like, this is a really nice website. I wanted that to be the case because I wanted people to also see that they can be able to shop online and also come in store. But it's growing. A lot of our foot traffic is in store, but we're working on it. A lot of my focus and marketing efforts has been driving traffic in store and connecting with local customers here. But we're really putting a focus on trying to drive sales outside of Indianapolis and reaching people outside of the city, and that's kind of what the gateway of our website is going to be. So it's still a work in progress and trying to get people to go to our website to shop. And we do have a lot of people who shop. They buy gift cards, they buy gifts. You can also pick up here and put your order in online and pick up, and we also offer DoorDash. We can get plants delivered for gifts. So we're doing other things to try to drive traffic outside of just the store itself. Having a business, like any business owner would tell you, it's always something. There's always a new challenge, there's always someone reaching out. But it's just exciting. I always look at new plans. I'm always looking at how I can redesign the store and make it, different for customers every time. I'm always looking at new products. I'm always trying to figure out a way to engage the community. And so we're doing events. We just did a workshop, a few weeks ago. And so we're always looking for ways to re-engage and really connect people through plants. That's really my whole mission, is just to really connect people to plants and to nature. And so this store provides that for them. And so I'm excited about the future Botanical Bar. I'm excited to possibly grow outside of the city. But for now, I'm kind of trying to set my roots here as much as possible with this community.
As always, if you want to learn more about any of the stories that you've seen today, find links at BE&Oshow.com, your one-stop shop for entrepreneurial information. That is our broadcast for this week. Our thanks to everybody who shared a story with us. If you want more information about anything we talked about on today's show, find the links at BE&Oshow.com. Scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you right there. While you're there, look for past segments of the show from each of our 7 weekly topics. Watch them, download them, use the buttons right under the video to share them on social media. Please do listen and subscribe to our Business Equity and Opportunities podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Sign up for our newsletter that we update every Tuesday. And if you have questions or a success story that you want to share, send us an email. It's beo@wishtv.com. We'll see you next week for more Business Equity and Opportunities. Till then, have a great day.
Business, Equity, and Opportunities is made possible by Indiana Economic Development Corporation, InnoPower, Bose McKinney & Evans, Gemco, Fifth Third Bank, and IU Indianapolis.